Well, hello there. Long time no see. I know it's been a while. It's been a little bit busy and crazy and work and all that kind of stuff, but I am here to share some of the things that I've been working on, and I really appreciate that you've tuned in. I know it's been a while. I told you it was going to be a while because I've been making things that are gifts and I haven't been able to show them. So what I've been doing is as I've finished them, and feel like I can record, I'm recording a little snippet or a little like mini episode explaining what I did, explaining what I made and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to insert it in a later video when I've already given the gifts so that it doesn't spoil the surprise. So I will have kind of a gift recap video, and I'll insert all these different mini videos in it to put it all together to show you the things I've been making. But I have been making some things that I can share with you. So I thought I would get on here. I have the day off today, which is really nice. It's November 11th. It's Veterans Day. Thank you to everyone who has served in the armed forces. I really appreciate your service. And so I thought, well, today I didn't have to work, so I'm not tired. And we're going to go for it. Kind of put everything together. I might be a little bit rusty because it has been a few months, couple months, been about 1st of September, I think, the last time I recorded. And I'll just try and catch you guys up on stuff. Hopefully you find what I'm talking about somewhat interesting. Whatever. It is what it is. So thank you. My name's Carrie. I live outside of Portland, Oregon. And if you're new, I have a bunch of new subscribers, so I appreciate you being here. Normally I talk a lot about knitting and some quilting and then other crafts that I do get into. Recently it's been mostly knitting and quilting. I haven't really done too much of the other crafting. Work has been very busy. I get very tired at the end of my day. I'm exhausted. I walk Violet a couple times a day and I work, and by the time I'm done with that, I'm pretty pooped and I just want to kind of veg. So knitting usually happens at that time, and so I haven't done a ton of quilting, but I have a little bit to share. So let's get into it. Since September, like I said, I started back to work. I did go on a little quilt retreat with a few of my friends. There's 4 of us that got together, rented a little cabin up on Mount Hood. We bring all our sewing machines, ironing boards, all that kind of stuff, and just sit and visit and hang out with each other and quilt all weekend, and it's a lot of fun. So I did get started on the kaleidoscope quilt, and I mentioned that I was going to work on this, I don't know, last episode, I think. So I'm using this Kaleidoscope by Lori Holt's book. I got this on Fat Quarter Shop. And it's tedious. Don't really know that I'm enjoying it a ton. So over the weekend, I did bring knitting because I also know that I want to sit and knit at some point. I just can't sit at my sewing machine all day long like I used to be able to do. But I had what I got done. I had everything cut out before I went, which is key for me. I don't like to cut when I go away like that because I need to be able to just really focus so I don't make mistakes. And then it's nice to just, when you go, you're just sewing. You're not hassling with getting all your stuff cut out and stuff because you don't have the same layout. We're just doing it on like a little card table and that kind of thing. But what I did get done, and it may not seem like a lot, but these are flying geese. This is what this little quilt block is called. I got 300 of those done. And I got 600 half square triangles. So this is half of the square is a triangle, makes a square, and that's what that's called. The problem I'm going to probably run into is I made the flying geese using a method that makes 4 at a time, makes them a little oversized, and then you trim them down. And I used my block lock ruler to trim it. I've talked about this in other episodes. Block lock rulers are great for trimming down. You get very accurate pieces, especially with something like flying geese, which tend to turn out a little wonky. At least for me, they do. The instructions, though, give pressing instructions to press the seams open. I'm not a big fan of pressing seams open on a quilt, but I think she's done that because of how everything's going together and you want to offset your seams. In doing the way that I did this with this ruler, I press the seams in one direction. They're not pressed open. So when I put when I sew these together, those seams are not going to offset, and I'm probably not going to get great accurate corners. This is going to go to somebody that doesn't quilt, that is barely quilt worthy. So if the corners don't match and the points aren't perfect, I'm not going to stress over it because I know that she's not going to notice. This is going to be for a wedding gift when and if she gets married, possibly next year, that kind of thing. So it's not like a hurry to get the quilt done, but I also know this quilt's going to take a long time, and I wanted to get a head start on it so that when the announcement happens, if it happens, I'm ready to go because I really want to give her a quilt for a wedding. So that's really all I did the whole weekend as far as quilting, because it takes a long time. And then I did press all the half square triangle pieces open because I thought, well, at least let's alleviate some of the bulk. Unfortunately, when I cut the pieces out, I wasn't thinking ahead, and I normally like to make these a little bit bigger so that I can trim them down with a block lock ruler like this, but it's for squares. I didn't do that, so I made these exact to size. They're close enough, but I had to press 600 of these open. So I was on a Zoom call with some friends, and I just sat there for 4 hours. It took me 4 hours to press all these. So it's all pressed. Now it's a matter of putting things together, and I've kind of put it aside for now because I'm really trying to wind down some of my holiday makes, my gift making for Christmas and birthdays and whatever's coming up. So it's like that's not my priority right now, but I'm going to get back to it. So I did then the weekend after that, I went to Fiber Hustle headquarters. I went up to the Seattle area and spent some time with Chip and Aaron, and it was a lot of fun just kind of hanging out. Aaron and I went out and did some fun excursions and then just sat and knit, watched some movies. And it was a lot of fun. I stayed the night in a hotel, visited with them a little bit in the morning, and then I went home. And it was a great weekend. So I did that. Last weekend we went camping. We had scheduled this trip quite a while ago. I always plan my trips out way ahead of time, and it's like, I've got a Friday off. How about if we go camping for a long weekend, be our last one of the season? And so was the weekend after Halloween. I don't know. Halloween weekend was gorgeous. It was sunny. It was beautiful. It was cool. It was a perfect fall weekend. The following weekend that we did go camping was pouring down rain, but it was fine. At that point, I really just needed like downtime. I needed to just decompress and have an excuse to not do anything. Weekends have been busy during the week with work and everything that I do. I don't have the energy to do a whole lot of extra. So the weekends are busy trying to get that done. And I was just starting to feel a little burned out. So we went camping. Violet stayed with my son, Robert. And so we didn't even have the dog, which was nice because we knew it was going to be real rainy. And it's like, we're not going to be able to walk her and tire her out. And she's a pretty high energy dog. So she got to play all weekend with her cousins, and we just had a really relaxing weekend. We did have some times that the rain wasn't too bad, and we were able to get out and get a hike in, and we did a walk and stuff. But most of the time, I sat and knitted, I read. We brought our Switch and hooked it to the TV and played Animal Crossing. There was a big update to the game, and so we were playing all the new features in the game, and it was just really nice because it was just relaxing. It's like there was nothing else for me to do, and so I had guilt-free time of just sitting and not doing anything. So very lovely. And so that's kind of catching you up on the last couple of months. It hasn't been too terribly exciting, but like I said, most of the makes that I've been doing, I can't really show you quite yet. I also want to mention, I talked about going to Fiber Hustle headquarters, and Chip of the Fiber Hustle has started his own YouTube channel, and it is quilting related, and it's called the Quilt Stream. And he does a live show Mondays and Fridays and talks about different things of quilting. So he's only got a few videos going because it's a brand new channel, but if you're interested in checking out some quilting related stuff, head on over there. That will be linked in the description box below this video, as well as anything else that I mentioned that needs to be linked. So if there's something that I forgot, you can always message me, make a comment, whatever, and I'll try and fill you in on it. So, okay. I did record a video of a cowl that I made for my friend Rhonda. I met Rhonda through this when I started the local knit group that we met in the library. We started a little knit night, met every couple of weeks, and then with COVID, the library shut down for public access. And so Rhonda, me, and a couple other gals stayed in contact. We Zoomed every couple of weeks as if it was knit night, and now we're meeting in person, just the few of us, and it's been really nice. Well, she's given me some yarn over the past, and so I made a cowl that turned out pretty nice. So I'm going to show you the video of that right now. Hi, thanks for joining me in the past. I wanted to share with you a cowl that I made that I'm going to be giving to a friend hopefully this weekend. And so I wanted to record this before I gave it to her so that I could talk about it instead of just showing pictures. So I made the A Key cowl by Hilary Smith Callis. This would be the third time I've made this cowl. It is one of my favorite cowl patterns because it just wears so nicely for you. And I got this yarn from my friend Rhonda, and it's gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? It is this dark magenta, what goes into blacks, but even in the blacks there's color. There's like some green and stuff in there. This is Blue Moon Fiber Arts Socks That Rock yarn in the color Cables of Wrath. This is the lightweight fingering weight that she has, which is pretty substantial. I love Blue Moon Fiber Arts yarn. So my friend Rhonda gave me the yarn, and I knew that she loved this color, and I so badly want to keep this, but I thought I would make it for her because she was so generous in giving me, she gave me a whole bunch of yarn. So I made the cowl. This is such a great cowl because I feel like it just wears so well. It takes less than a full skein of yarn. I had about 30 grams left, so I would have used about 70 grams to make this. And I just think it's so cool. So I just love the way that it's striped and then kind of pooled. And so I think she'll like it. I hope she'll wear it. And it was really fun to make. I love this yarn. So yeah, so that's my A Key cowl. I do highly recommend it. It is a paid for pattern. I've gotten my mileage out of this $5 pattern or whatever it was because it's just good. So that's it. Whoa. So you knit it flat and then seam it up the back. So pretty simple. I do make it a little bit longer. Do a few extra rows as you sort of like are increasing to make the triangle, because you start down at the corner, because I like this to be a little bit looser for myself. I don't like it to be like hugging my neck. Other than that, I just follow the pattern. Pretty easy. Nice garter ridge edging. So there you go. Hope she likes it. Okay, you don't know how hard it was for me to give it away. I really wanted to keep it, but it was really pretty. And she looked beautiful in it. And she had a beautiful green hand knit sweater and put that cowl on with it. And the colors it was like, I need to do something with those colors. I need to figure out something with those colors. So it started this whole rabbit trail of, what can I do with this magenta and this green, this like vibrant but not in your face beautiful green color. So started down that whole thing because I was just obsessed with it. And I had decided to do the newspaper pullover by Joji Locatelli. It's a newer pattern. It's a brioche pattern using 2 contrasting colors. And I was like, gosh, I just think that would be really pretty. And the more I thought about it, I thought, is that just going to end up looking too crazy? The pretty bright colors, I don't want to look like a clown. So I tossed around, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? And is there something else? And, I don't know. This sweater has taken on a whole journey. So let me just take you on the journey with me. I dyed up some yarn, and I dyed up this green color. So it's a chartreuse, and I'm so fortunate that I have my husband who knows color and knows how to swing colors. And I said, I want this chartreuse color, but I don't want it to be like neon. How can I tone it down? Should I just put black with it? And he goes, no, that'll just make it look dirty. Put orange in it. Would have never thought. So I put orange in it, which has no orange, but it just toned down some of the brightness of it just enough. I don't know why. I just trusted him and I just did it, and I'm like pretty happy with the color. So because I was thinking, well, maybe this this fuchsia color and this are beautiful together, but maybe as a whole sweater might be a little bit much. What if I tone it down by doing a gray? So I dyed up some charcoal gray, just gray, to put these 2 together to do a brioche sweater. So I started it. I swatched. I got gauge. I was doing so good. And you can see how those colors played together, which looked really nice. And I got about this far after multiple attempts, and it just wasn't working. There was something in the raglan increases that I think I just wasn't understanding, or it's just, I'm assuming it's written properly. I don't know brioche that well. I have done some. I do great doing straight brioche. Do great. Perfect. But you start increasing and decreasing, and I get a little confused. So there was some stitches where it was like you slip the stitch with the yarn in front, and then you have to knit the next stitch, but you don't want to yarn over. But it's like, so are you wrapping the stitch? Like, it didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. And I tried it over and over and over. And I just got to the point where it's like, this is not relaxing. I just want to sit and knit the sweater. It's just not relaxing. And then as I was looking at it, I'm like, that might be a little bit much. That green is pretty, and there's really no color that I dislike. But I thought, maybe this is a sign that this is just a little bit too wow. So I ditched the green and decided on a whole different sweater. So as I was like, what can I do? I'm just going to do just a gray sweater. I just want a basic raglan. When I sit down to knit, I just want to knit. I don't really want to have to figure it out. I don't want to have to take it out and redo it. And why isn't this? That's not relaxing for me. This is my relaxing hobby. So I decided to cast on the So Faded sweater. It's a basic raglan. This in the pattern, it's like you can fade from one color to the next. But basically, if you just use the numbers, it's a basic raglan. I have made it in the past. I don't wear it that often because I think the gauge was too loose for my liking. It's just too flimsy. And then it's not holding its shape very well, so it's becoming kind of baggy. And so I just don't really wear it. And I made it short sleeve, and I just don't wear short sleeve sweaters. If I'm warm enough to wear, or cold enough to wear a sweater, short sleeves isn't the way I want to go, because I don't want to have to do a lot of layers, because that starts to get too hot. So what started off as wanting fuchsia and chartreuse turned into gray and light pink. So I cast on the sweater in the gray, and I hadn't gotten very far. I had really just cast on and was just kind of doing the neckline, and I had ordered this yarn from Needles at the Ready. Kevin dyes yarn in small batches, and he had this, it's like a dusty pinky purple. And I thought, oh, that's going to look really good with the gray. What if I just do like a couple stripes, a couple row stripes of this And I'm like, okay, let me start that. And then I did that. And I thought, oh, you know what? To just make it so it's not just that pink and the gray, is this is yarn I got from Dog Star Knits. Here we go. It is called, I don't remember how to pronounce this. Akana? I think I struggled with this last time. So anyway, I thought I'll do a couple rows of this, and then I do like a couple rows and alternate them. So that's where I'm at. And I'm loving working on it. It is such a relaxing project for me, and I think it's going to be really cool. So I went down a needle size than what, I know I knit the first one that I did with the recommended needle size. And like I said, I found that to be just too flimsy. So I went down a needle size. Didn't do gauge. I'm doing the same size I did before, but with the lower, tighter gauge, I think it's going to be fine, and it's going to be fine. So here it is. I've already split for the sleeves. I did do the garter sleeve. Just thought that might give me a little more shoulders because I don't have broad shoulders. And I'm loving it. So I love the kind of stonewash effect that the gray is having. And I like the fact that the two pinks are just slightly different enough that it gives a little bit interest, but it's very subtle. It's not in your face stripes. It's just subtle stripes. Now, the downside is I have a lot of ends because I'm just knitting 2 rows of the pink, whatever pink it is, and then I have to cut it. So I'm gonna, after a little bit, I'm gonna, weave these in so I don't have too much to do at the end of the sweater. But I think the overall effect is really nice. So because it's just 2 rows of the pink, I just carry the gray up. It's not having to go up but maybe 1/4 of an inch, so not a problem. I am doing a jogless join, and it's getting better. And I think it's looking pretty good. I think because of the variation in the colors, and the colors aren't super contrasty, it's doing okay. So I tried to do where you slip the stitch and knit or whatever, and that was just leaving too much of a loose stitch and a hole, and I didn't like the way that looked. So what I'm doing is I just start the pink, say, I do my 2 colors, 2 round, or do a round, and when I come to where it's joining the pink, I pick up the right leg of the stitch below and knit those 2 together, and that seems to be working pretty well. It's pretty seamless. But like I said, I think also the fact that it's not super contrasty is working in my favor. So, and my project bag is an old purse that I made. So I made this, I don't know, a lot of years ago. 15 or more, no, more than that, probably closer to 20 years ago. And it's just a good knitting bag because it's big and it sits open and stands up. It's got pockets, and that's what I'm using. Okay, and then Jim had asked me to knit him a hat, and I've talked about this before where I don't feel like he's knit worthy because I have made him stuff before. I've made him gloves, a scarf, I've made him hats, never wears any of it. So he says, I really could use a hat because the hat that he wears it to bed. He goes, it's kind of falling apart. And it's one that I made him when I was first starting to knit. So I imagine it's starting to fall apart because I probably used super cheap yarn and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I said, okay. And he goes, I don't care what color it is. I'm just wearing it to bed. It doesn't really matter. And I said, okay, I can do that for you. So I had earlier this year, the beginning of the year, I made a sweater. It had some color work on the bottom, and I bought some skeins of chroma worsted, so it goes in a gradient, and it hardly used any of the yarn for the sweater, and so I have these skeins that are pretty much a whole skein. And I thought, okay, I'll use that. Blue's a good color for him. And I just needed a basic hat. He's going to wear it to bed. It doesn't have to be fancy. And so my friend Ross, who has the website and YouTube channel and all that Smells Like Yarn, he on his website has a hat formula called the Ross hat. And he has the formula to make a basic beanie with fingering weight, DK weight, and worsted. I think those are the 3 weights. So I made him a hat. It's just like I said, it's a basic beanie, but it was really fun to work on. I ended up following the pattern for DK, even though this is Knit Picks calls it worsted, but it's a pretty light worsted, more of a DK. So I just followed the DK recipe that he has. It's free. Go on his website. It's free. It's right there. And made him his little sleepy hat. And then he says, well, I really kind of need one for when I'm sitting downstairs, watching TV, and he gets cold, because he's just sitting there and he's always cold. Probably because I have the house cold, because I'm always warm. Sorry, I'm drinking tea this morning because I need a little extra boost. So I said, okay, I'll make you a hat. And I looked through my stash. What am I going to use? What yarn am I going to use? And I pulled out yarn that I bought whatever year it was that we had the solar eclipse that was like made big news, like everybody was so excited about. And Blue Moon Fiber Arts dyed a yarn called Total Eclipse of the Sun. And I bought it from the shop Twisted, which is no longer in Portland. And I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, I don't know. So I thought, okay, perfect. It'll be a perfect hat. And I love the way it turned out, because it's just striped really, really cool. This is the Midas hat. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I have made it before. I have one that I made for myself that I wear when it's cold and I go for walks. It is a not folded brim, double brim, where you knit, it's double thickness. So you knit so many rows, you purl a row, then you knit so many rows, you cast on with a provisional cast on, and then you join them together with, I don't know what you call it. What's the term? It's not a bind off, because you still keep stitches live. I don't know what you call it when you knit. You put the provisional cast on a needle, so then you've got the yarn, the part of the knitting that you're knitting with, and the cast on, and you knit those together. Whatever that's called, that's what you do. And what's interesting and what I love about hand-dyed yarn is when it started, look at how it was pooling. It was looking really cool. I'm like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. And then right before you do that join, you add some stitches. And after I added just a handful of stitches, I don't know how many, maybe 10 stitches, it changed the way the yarn moved around and became more striped. And I just think that's really cool. So the pattern it's a slouchy hat pattern. Jim's not a slouchy hat kind of wearer. He's more of a beanie guy. And so it tells you to knit to like 9 inches, and I knit to like 6.5. I probably could have knit a little bit shorter, but it's okay. And so it's long enough that he can wear it over his ears, but it's not slouchy. And then, doing the decreases changes what's happening. So I was really happy with the way that looked, and it's perfect for him. And it gave me a chance to use that yarn that I really didn't know what I was going to do with. So there you go. So Jim, who is typically not really knit-worthy, got 2 hats out of the deal, and he has worn them both. So I think he heard me telling somebody that he wasn't knit-worthy. I think that's really what happened. And then he decided maybe I should have you knit me something. So there is a sweater that, what is it? Maxim Sear, who is a knitwear designer, has a pattern that just came out called Simple Malt. And it's a textured pattern. And it's just a nice, a basic sweater, but the knit part is textured. And I thought, that would look really nice on him. And I don't know why I feel like I want to knit him a sweater. And so I asked him, would you wear a sweater? He's like, oh yeah, of course. And I'm like, so I'm still on the fence. I need to make sure he's really going to wear it, because it's going to be a commitment. So that might be coming after the first of the year. We'll see, because I have a lot of other ideas of things I want to make that I would rather do, I think. Not because I don't want to do the sweater, just because I don't think he's going to actually wear it. He should, because he's always cold. So I did get some yarns. I was gifted some yarns, and I purchased some yarns from my friend Michelle, who is Naughty Knitwits. She was doing a big de-stash, and I snagged some of her yarn. And one of them is a Blue Moon Fiber Arts. Look at how pretty that is. It is called Krabby McCrabby Pants. I love this. I actually had got it or bought it from her because with the idea of making Jim a hat. Well, now he's got his hat, so I get to keep this, which I could have kept it before, but I don't know. This is going to be something kind of neat. Another yarn that I got from Michelle was Zia Wools, and this is in the Purple Passion colorway. And it's the tag. I mean, because it's me, and hello. Another one that I got from her is Wonderland Yarns, which I have worked with Wonderland Yarns before, and I love them. This is Pigments of Imagination, and it's a multi-skein fade. Not sure what I'm going to do with this, which doesn't really matter. It's a total of 640 yards. So that's going to be something pretty. And then a friend of mine who doesn't knit saw an ad on Instagram, and she's like, I just thought of you, and I thought this would just be perfect, and I just loved it. And so she got me this yarn. Whoop. It is from Ashen Bumble. It is a sock set, so you've got a mini, and this is in their field sock base. Autumnal Equinox is the colorway. And I thought it was interesting because I would have never bought this for myself. This is more my style. But she saw this and thought of me, and I thought, okay, I can make some socks out of that. So I think these will become socks with heels and toes and cuffs, or at least heels and toes maybe of that. And I did mention last time that, or have mentioned in the past, that my knitting machine was like not really knitting socks for me like it was. Like all of a sudden something went wonky. Jim did look at it, tightened some things, adjusted some things. I'm not really sure what, but now it's working. So I'm back to making socks. So I will do that on the knitting machine. I have talked about this in the past. I have a flatbed brother machine that's like really old, and I have a ribber for it, so I can knit in the round. And so I'm making sock tubes that way. My friend Ruth, who is in my local Knit Night group, gave me this because she's kind and thought of me. She had made a shawl, scarf kind of thing that played on using a skein that has like that is dyed with big color repeats. Like there's a long distance between color repeats, and so she thought, this is driving me crazy because whoever it was that wound this up has wound it so tight, I feel like it's squeezing the life out of it. So I am going to retwist it because it shouldn't be that hard. Like that's stretching the fibers, and that's not good. But some people like to twist it like that. It's not good. So I will be retwisting this because it's bugging me. So I've got some new yarns. Don't need them, but it saved me from having to go shopping because I don't like to shop, at least not in person. Something that I did show, I'm going to just share it on here because I haven't yet, but I did show it on Instagram, is my table runner that I made from my friend Jenny's book, the Ghoulish Tidings book. I just did the row that was pumpkins, and I made a table runner. So that's on my dining room table, and it was fun to just take part of the pattern. I don't need the whole quilt, but just to take part of the pattern, and it made a perfect size table runner for my table. And I think in the future I may do other little blocks like that from that book because she has some really cute blocks in there. So I still have a few more things that I have to, and I don't have to make, that I want to make for the holidays. So that is my plan for this weekend. Hopefully get a bunch done and not get super sidetracked. I'll get this video uploaded or edited, uploaded, all that stuff. And yeah, I don't know when. I'm hoping to be able to get back on soon. I may have some shorter episodes just to share some things that I'm making, but it doesn't really need, I don't need to wait till I have a crap ton of stuff done to make a longer episode. I prefer even watching shorter episodes of podcasts and stuff personally, because I can't commit to an hour, 2 hours. I've got, if those come up, I've got to watch those in segments, and then I get behind. And anyway, so you may see some shorter ones. Stick around if you want to. Thank you for being there for me and being patient while I have been kind of on a podcasting hiatus. So continue making. Hopefully you have good holidays coming up, and I will see you soon. Bye.